So that's really about increasing your conversion. So doing this, you'll see your conversions explode. You'll see it exploding your business, being able to use what we're going to talk about. Okay, and this is not even me bragging, but this is something this is something that I was able to do. My first workshop, I was so scared to sell and tell people about what I had that I didn't even offer anything, right? So, but using some of the things that I've been doing now, that I've learned as far as the psychological triggers, I've been able to make over $600 in 90 minutes. And I'm not even just talking about workshops. I'm talking about I do webinars. I go out and speak. I do different things as well, and I use these exact same strategies, and it helps me make some extra income around my job. I'm still working a daytime job. I do cybersecurity every day. So but I spend a lot of my time after working on weekends, being able to help back, being able to pour back into people, pour back into local businesses, pour back into communities, and as a result, there's a certain percentage of people who always want to go to the next step. And for the people that do, they get that extra help. So, and that's what I'm excited about, being able to help. Now the results are not typical. I have to say this, that that you're gonna learn these things, but I can't go out and say, well, you're definitely gonna go out and make an extra $1,000 next week. But if you're able, I just have to legally say that. But what I am gonna say is that if you use these, I can promise you, I can virtually guarantee that it'll help you. You'll start seeing more success if you start using these things. But they gotta be at the forefront of your mind. Okay? So this is what we're talking about today. These are the 3 secrets. Okay? 3 secrets. Secret number 1 is the best way to increase your conversions 300% is to use psychological mental triggers. So that's the first thing that we're going to go through. The second secret is how to get an army of clients, even if you hate selling. I know a lot of people don't like to sell like that, or they're nervous, or they're afraid to talk to people. So how do you do that without coming across as salesy? Okay. And then 3 is people actually love to buy. Right? We just need to overcome their objections. You know what the crazy part about people is? Everybody loves to buy things, right? Especially women love to go shopping, right? Buy stuff, but everybody hates to be sold, right? So how do you like to buy but hate to be sold? So that's really what this conversation is about, and that's what we're going to be talking about in secret number 3. Okay, so does this make sense to everybody so far? This is good? Moving good? Okay. All right, so secret number 1, the best way to increase your conversions, 300% is using psychological triggers. So first of all, we've been talking a lot about that. What exactly is a mental trigger or psychological mental trigger? Well, what a mental trigger is psychological factors that directly influence the way we act and make decisions. That's what a mental trigger is. Using this, you'll see somebody, and we're using this all day, but we don't even know it. As we go through these, you're gonna notice, oh, these are some of the things that I've used. Oh, these are things that I see, people are using on me. So this is part of our natural daily thing, but as you see them now, you're gonna have like a different lens on once you start seeing what these mental triggers are. You're like, oh, okay, I get it. Now this makes sense to me, all right? So y'all ready to learn what it is? Y'all ready to learn what these mental triggers are? Yeah. So there's 9 of them that we're gonna learn, okay? Ready?
Yes.
All right. Because this is huge. This makes all the difference. And just like how that car salesman did it, he used these triggers, okay? So let's go. Strap your seatbelt in tight.
All right.
So these are the mental triggers right here. So there's 9 of them. So the first one we're gonna go through is authority. Anybody have any idea what an authority mental trigger is?
You want to establish yourself as an expert in that field or whatever it is that you're selling. The person that's buying from you just needs to know that you know what you're talking about.
That's what it is. So typically, that's the reason why your doctor comes in with the white lab coat, right? It just gives extra authority. It gives extra credibility, So how could you use authority in whatever you're selling, whatever you're doing, right? So if I'm talking, before I did a training on how to network, right? And I did an online training, but before I did the online training, I put up some of the pictures and things that I put up with people, right? And then guess what? I had my conversions increase so much more because it was like, oh, you met this person, you met Busta Rhymes, you met that person. So that gave me extra authority, like, oh, he obviously knows how to meet people. He knows how to meet millionaires. He knows how to do all of these things. So let me listen to him because he obviously knows something, right? So that's what authority bias is. How can you show people that you're credible so that they'll be able to trust you more, which is going to be one of the other ones that we have coming up. Okay? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Next one is reciprocity. This is a fun one. Reciprocity mental trigger. Anytime you give somebody something, they're gonna feel obligated to give you something back, right? Or if somebody gave you something, has somebody ever gave you something and you felt like you almost like owed them, like you had to give them something back? Like let's say like for Christmas, has anybody ever bought you a Christmas gift? And you're like, oh, I didn't buy you anything with me. Like, yeah, I got you. I drop off your gift this weekend, but you didn't really have a gift for them, but you felt like you had to run out and do that, right?
Yeah.
So it's because of the reciprocity mental trigger. That's why. So if you are, so if you can find somebody to give away a free gift, same thing. This is something we see these things all the time, but we don't know it. But now you're going to be more keen to it. We go to a mall, right? And you see all the food court, right? You see them giving out free samples, right? Why are they giving out free samples? Because they're giving you something. If it tastes good, they'll give it to you for free. They could charge you $1 for a piece or something like that, right? But they're not going to do it because they want to give you something. They want you to taste it. Say, oh, it's good. Let me go and buy it. They're using the reciprocity mental trigger. So the question is, you want to ask yourself, how can I use this when I'm trying to persuade, when I'm trying to influence someone to join my movement, to buy my product, buy my service? How can I use that in a conversation? How can I use that when I'm talking on video? How can I use that when I'm on a stage, right? So that's another one. Okay? Third one is trust. It's trust, the trust mental trigger. So people buy things, you might have heard this before, right? People buy things from people they know, like, and trust, right? So trust is huge. If you trust somebody, you'll be more willing to you follow their idea. You'll be more willing to buy from them. You'll be more willing to listen. You may be more willing to to do things for them because you trust them. If somebody's untrustworthy, you don't even want to be around them. Like I don't want you to be around me, right? So the question is, how could you establish trust? Typically, trust is one of those things that can happen over time. But there is ways that you can trust people. There are hacks that you could get people to trust you more quickly, right? So I'll give you one hack for trust. I want you to put this on your paper. Trust equals vulnerability. Hack. Put hack, right? Or you put that in quotations. That's a hack. Because if you're real with people, they tend to trust you more. You know what I'm saying? If you try to act like either you're perfect or you got it all together, or or you don't show any, like you have any flaws, people don't trust you. They feel like you're being fake. And if you're being fake, you're not being honest, and they're not going to trust you, right? So that's a way to get trust very quickly, is just to be real with people, be vulnerable, and be willing to talk about your flaws. But typically, trust is one of the things that can happen over time, right? When my Jonte is my brother. He'll ask me, it's been people who ask me to do certain things or come out to certain events, but I've known him for so long. He says, come out to an event, come out to one of his shows. I'm like, I'll go. I'll go because, one, I trust him out. Even if he thinks it's going to be a good show or a bad show, and no matter how many people's there, whatever the case is, it's like, well, I'm going to go support, I'm going to go and, I'm going to go out show and have fun anyway. You know what I'm saying? But you won't do that for anybody or everybody, right? You trust your mom. So there's certain things that she'll ask you that you'll do that you won't do for other people. It's because you got that trust. So how could you establish that trust with people? Okay? So, this is fun. Is this making sense? This is good stuff, right?
Yeah.
This is good. Another one of my favorite ones, anticipation. Anticipation. This is a great mental trigger because this is one where people are excited to see what's about to happen. Like they anticipating. Like, have you ever, you've been waiting for that next episode of Scandal to come out?
Don't play like that.
right? Like you can't. Why do you think shows, right? Why do you think shows right before they go to the next season, or right before the next show, like something exciting happens, right? But they don't want to show you why they do that, because they want you to anticipate. They're like, oh, I can't wait to see what this what next season is going to be, or what this next show is going to be, right? So it's anticipation of it. You know, that's why a lot of people do marketing and promo. They put out videos. They put out, you know, they do different things because they want people to start getting ready for it, anticipating it. You know, I remember for me, when I first, before I started helping small businesses, I was helping college students, right? So I actually got a book on Amazon right now called The Fastest Way to Going to College. And I remember that when I first started creating a book, I said, it's gonna be great. Everybody's gonna love it. As soon as I come out with it, everybody's just gonna go excited, you know, be so excited over it, right? So I spent months writing the book, creating it, and then I finished it, and then I came into the world and said, here I am. Hey, listen, this book is gonna change the lives of college students forever. Who wants it? Who wants to buy it, right? And I had some people support, but I didn't have as many people. I didn't make nowhere near the amount of impact that I wanted to make because people weren't ready for it. I just came out with it to the world, and it was almost like, you know, where it came from, you know. So it was, but then, you know, once I started researching to see how other people come out with stuff, you notice people don't just come out with stuff. Apple don't just come out with their phone the next day. They doing marketing, they doing promo. Why is that? They building up the anticipation for it. So how can we build up the anticipation for what we have? For what we have that's coming up, what we have that's out. So anything that you have or that you're doing, you got to be building up that anticipation, build up that excitement for people.
Unless
so
you're Beyonce, then
huh?
we're always anticipating for Beyonce.
Right.
Yeah, exactly, right. When she's Beyonce gonna be at Coachella, it's gonna be crazy, right? It's gonna be crazy. So everybody was anticipating that. You know, so we gotta say, all right, so, and these are things that you wanna think about before you actually get into your selling situation, right? You wanna be able to know, all right, well, what am I gonna say? How am I gonna you know, do authority? How am I going to get people excited and to anticipate about it? And you got to be able to actually have these. And what I know is some of the world's best salespeople, they know this stuff. Like they know exactly how they're going to do these things. So we got to be able to do the same thing too if we want to get people excited about what we have. Next one is likability, right? That was one of the other things, right? Know, like, and trust. So if people like you, they're going to do things. They're going to do things for you. You know, you don't do things for people that you got beef with, people that you hate, right? Right? People that you dislike. You know, so if you like somebody, you know, you're going to be able to do more things for them. I think this one is self-explanatory, but you got to be likable. You know, so if you're sitting down with somebody, whether it's a one-on-one situation, or you know, whether it's on video, or you know, as at a networking event, or wherever you at, you want people to like you. You know, you want people to like you. So you know, if they say, oh, you know, this dude. Or this girl is arrogant, you know. This girl, you know, she's always talking about people. She's always gossiping. They don't like you. Why would they support you? Why would they want to hear? Well, people won't even listen to you if they don't like you, right? So you gotta be likable. You know, you gotta be, you know. Everybody has their own personality, but at the end of the day, come across likable in whatever your personality is.
I'm not gonna steal your workshop, I swear. But I just wanted to say, one thing that I learned is that when you ask people about themselves, they tend to like you more.
Oh wow.
You know, like you seem genuinely interested in what they have going on. They tend to like you more. So that's one thing that I picked up. It took me a while because I think, you know, I think I'm a pretty nice person. But when I started, you know, being more genuinely interested in other people, that's when, you know, I started attracting them.
I guess it's kind of like on a date. Like, you don't want somebody that's only going to talk about themselves. You want them to ask you about you.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, people like talking about themselves.
All right, y'all ready for this other hack? Yes. So another hack in regards to likability. You want to accelerate this process. Be interested in others and they'll be interested in you. Right?
Basically what you said.
Right? So that's but think about this though. But there's a better way to say it. Whatever you want from other people, give to them. Whatever you want from. So that means if you want to be the most respected, respect everybody. Right? If you want to be the most liked, like the people that you're around, like the people that's in the room, like the people that you're with. Right? If you want to, if you want to be the most popular person, make everybody popular. When you walk into a room, be fascinated. That's one of the things that I love to do. Like I love to, and I actually, one of our line brothers is like great at this, right? One of my line brothers named Khalil. He's great. He just had we just went down he had a birthday party this weekend, right? So we had about, I don't know, maybe 50, 60 people, right, in his club that his girl rented out, right? So, everybody's anticipating, waiting for him to come, right? Everybody's together, waiting, right? And he comes in, everybody's surprised, right? So, man, he got 60 people. But I mean to tell you, he stopped and talked to every person and made them feel like the most important person in the world.
Yeah.
Like that was just something that I took mental note of, right? He did, right? Mm-hmm. And he genuinely, and not just, just being fake, like genuinely, being interested. Oh, I'm so glad you came out. Thank you for coming, this, that, and the third. And he did that with every single person that was in the room. Yep. But then you wonder why, and he's popular, to people that's in our circle, people that know him. You can see why, right? It makes every person feel like that. So, so that's a hack. So anything that you want from others, you give that and you'll get that back. We talked a little bit about it, but events and rituals. People love events. People love things. People love to go to events, conferences, workshops, festivals, right? So if you have something, if you have something that you can do, I don't care if you have a product or service that you're doing at your house, right? Whatever it is, if you have something that's coming, and a lot of these are not separate. A lot of these are going to overlap, right? So anticipation is going to play into part of that, right? But people love something where they could come together and gather in a place together. So when you could have an event or you could have a ritual, people will be excited about that. Especially if you could make it some kind of recurring day. Because actually, when I started doing these workshops, I was just doing random days out of the month. But my beautiful wife said, well, how about you just do it one day? Just do it the last Saturday every month. I said, all right, do it last Saturday. So now people have an expectation. Now they know, and people love, and they know, when they come, what to expect, what to learn. So if you have something where people could come together, people like events. They like the ritual base of it. So it don't necessarily have to be an event, but ritual, something that's going to continuously happen. So if you can do that, people will be more drawn to it, and it'll be more excited about it.
So would that be good too? I mean, I guess if she's saying to put on the same day, so it's good for word of mouth, because then those people can tell other people they know when it is.
Right, exactly, and it's easy. It's easier to remember. Hey, I have something on Instagram that I do called Mentor Me Mondays, where I take a local entrepreneur and I'm either mentoring or they saying some of the best things that they know about. Like before, I had last week I had a girl that's out in Miami. She's killing it. She has her social media following is growing so much, and she's a financial expert. So I brought her on that Monday, and people just know to come and know to show up, because every Monday, 6:30. I'm working on it's either 6:30 or 7. I'm trying to work on a solid time sometime depending on my schedule, but usually 6:30 or 7. I jump on my live every Monday, and and I train, talk, we have a conversation, and people can learn. Even if they join into the live and they take away one thing, it's worth it for them, right? But it's an event that people know. They know what to expect. They know that something is coming. So how can we incorporate that in what we do? Community. People love to get together. People love to be a part of a community, right? And one of the great things about community is people act in accordance to what the community does, right? So that's good. So if for example, we're in a room, right? We started off everybody introducing themselves, right? Well, we did that. It probably wouldn't have happened had we not, had us not been together in the community and saying, hey, let's do this. But the fact that we all here, there's an expectation when you bringing people together. So how could you create sort of that community aspect? So it don't necessarily have to be physical in a room, but it could be, on Facebook. That's why you see a lot of people, they come up with the Facebook groups. So why are so many people coming up with Facebook groups, right? Why people come up with group meets, right? So to bring people together. Now you have everybody together, and now they're going towards a course. So now when you have an event, or when you have a product or service or something you want everybody to be a part of, now we have something that we could talk about, and I might ask you about this event. I might do, but that would never happen if we all scattered all over the place.
I promise I won't take it over. I just thought about like Beyonce with the Beehive or Cardi B with Barty Gang. Even celebrities realize that communities are important. So, like for example, if someone is insulting Beyonce, Beehive is on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Rihanna's Navy.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they feel committed to a cause. So I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
That's true.
So that community. So how could you build that community? How could you build that? That following, right? Yeah, I mean that's pretty good. Does anybody have any other questions on that?
I kind of do. I think when you first started talking about it, I was thinking about, you having a one-on-one conversation with someone, and you're kind of trying to present a certain persona of trust, of reciprocity, of authority. How are you presenting the persona with community?
Absolutely.
What's an example?
So example of that is, let's say if you have a product or you have a service, you might say, well, come along with what you're getting. We're going to come together once a month, and you're going to be able to learn from other people. You're going to be able to, part of what you're getting is, we have a private Facebook group that you'll be a part of. We have a private group meet that you'll be able to be. So now you can add that element to it. And people will be interested, like, oh, it's not just going to be me. I have other people, right? Or I have other people that I can ask questions to. I have other people that's going to work with me that I'm going to be able to. So that's how you incorporate the community aspect of it. Okay, that was a great question. Scarcity. One of the most powerful, if not the most powerful mental trigger. Scarcity. How many times we feel like we need to take action because of a deadline, because something is scarce, because something is the last one. It's the last one of the year. It's the last time Beyonce's doing Coachella. It's the last time, it's the last time this event is coming into town, right? Or it's we only have 5 tickets left, right? Grab a ticket, it's the last 5 tickets, right? So scarcity is so powerful because once you use this, people feel, this is how you get people to stop procrastinating on making a decision. That's really what it is, right? Because by nature, we want to put things off. It's so long, like especially like with events, right? So when you're doing events, people are naturally gonna wait until the last minute. It just happens like that, right? So unless you can find other ways to engineer it, which there is other ways, but just naturally, hey, I have an event, come out, right? And it's the same, and I'm the same way too. Like people do the same way. Like I went up to John Taylor. He's been trying to get me to come to this to how long you been selling tickets for? Probably like a week, 2 weeks.
About a month.
So he got a comedy show, right? And it was just, I don't know, like we procrastinated. It's not like I didn't want to go, but just procrastinate to actually take action. But we all do that naturally. Like, so we're not perfect at it. I'm not saying I'm perfect at any of these, but it's good to know it, and you know, okay, well, they procrastinate, and how can I add some scarcity to this? And you don't really want to lie. Like if you got 50 seats left, you want to be like, oh, you got 2 left, right? So you want to be honest, but how could you add scarcity and still be honest? So like one of the things that I would do is, let's say if I have an event or let's say if it's a workshop or something like that, hey, if you wait until the day before to get your tickets, the price, we see this all the time, the price goes up, right? You got early registration. Why? That's why they do that. That's exactly why they do that. If you get in early bird registration, you'll get, you'll pay this amount. You got, general admission, and then you might have late registration, right? Or if people say, okay, well, if you walk in, it's going to be this amount. That's why they do that. That's why they do that.
Because the comedians I was telling you, they weren't really selling like that. He wasn't really going on tour until he went and put it on a certain platform, and the first 3 shows sold out. Until they heard that, and then somebody said, I wasn't able to go because it was sold out. They were like, oh no, I ain't gonna miss it now.
There you go. That's it. That's the power of scarcity. That's why people, put the sold out. There's no reason. If it's sold out, why even spend energy to tell people? Well, you want to spend energy to tell people so they know, like, oh, let me not miss this, right? So how could you use that? How could you add that scarcity? Hey, it's the last time, the director or owner of the company is coming. This is. We don't know when's the next time Warren Buffett is going to come to town, right? So that is what's going to get people excited. So how could you add that scarcity? It can be anywhere from, It could be anywhere from, a limited amount of money, well, increasing the amount of money. It can be, it could be a time. It could be a certain time if you don't do this now. It's usually money and time, but I'm sure there's other ways to be scarce. But how do you make things, you just have to brainstorm, how can I make this more scarce than really what it is? Okay? Typically it's time and money. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Good? And social proof. Social proof. When we see other people doing things, we feel like that's the right thing to do. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, so social proof could mean if you're driving, right? Let's say you don't got your phone, right? You're driving in a town you don't know about. And you're starving, your stomach's hurting. Oh, I gotta eat something. Right? I see on one side of the street, I see two restaurants. One side of the street has one car in front of it. The other restaurant has 20 cars in front of it. What restaurant you gonna go to?
One car.
20 cars, right.
Why is that?
Taste that one car.
It must be good. That's what you say.
It's a mental trigger. You figure, okay, if there's more cars on that lot, that means the food is much better than the other one that doesn't have.
It's something that they know that we don't know.
Right.
Now you may have some outliers, but typically people, if they see that, they'll say, okay, well let me go into this restaurant because it looks like it's gonna be more interesting. The food must be better. It's something that they know. So it's the same thing. So social proof. It's the same reason why when you go to a club or you go to a lounge, have you ever been one of the first people online to go in a club or a lounge?
Mm.
You ever been one of the first people? If you're ever one of the first people, you know when you walk in, it's empty.
Yeah.
They really they could let people in. They could really let people. It's not like there's no space. So why not letting people in? Right?
Yeah.
So why not letting people in? It's social proof. They want the line to build all the way up so they can see. So people who driving by, they can get excited about it. They can see it. It's like, oh, this must be a good club. They got everybody waiting.
That's that
Right?
anticipation.
That's part of the anticipation, right?
That's that anticipation.
It's same thing. People waiting outside for Jordans, for iPhones, for all of that. They want people to see the line. They want people to be excited about it, right? So that's social proof. So then, okay, how could I add social proof? So that can be one part of it. Another part of social proof is people saying nice things about you. Maybe like testimonials or different things like that, right? So if somebody says, Thomas is a great guy. I've been to one of his, I've been to one of his events. Or he trained me on finances, right? And he did my taxes. Man, he got me great, right? Or Diane did my taxes. She took care of me. If I tell you that you're looking for somebody to do your taxes, right? I'm the social proof, right? So now you're gonna be like, you know what? Terrell said that Diane does a good job. Thomas does a good job. Let me see what she's talking about, right? So that's how social proof is. So basically, you're looking at other people to figure out what's a good decision for you to make. That's basically what it is. Okay, so how could you use social proof in order to get people interested in what you have? Product, service, event, anything that you have, okay? So these are the mental triggers. These are the best mental triggers, and I took a little long on this because this is the key part that you want to start. Could you see how using this is gonna help increase your conversions? Do you see how using this is gonna get more people? It makes sense, right? Now that we start thinking about it, and this is stuff that happens every day. So now you're gonna start seeing this stuff like, oh, okay, I know why they're doing that. You're gonna be aware to it now, right? So that's what these mental triggers are. Okay, does anybody have any questions on that? On any of these?
Okay, well, if we are bombarded by these different mental triggers every day, what compels a person, and I guess this goes back to qualifying people, whether or not, what attracts them directly to you? If this is natural things that they've been bombarded with in retail, when they go on social media, how do you stand out?
Well, it depends, because you're not. No, that's a great question. First of all, but one, a lot of people are not doing this, and if they are, they're not doing it effectively. So that's one. But the second thing is, there's some things that some people just don't like. Some people are not attracted to. Some people just don't want. So even if they use some of these mental triggers, it's just something that they're not interested in right now. Like you might not be, interested in buying a new home right now, or whatever the case is. So you can try to use some of these things, and it may help, but it's not. But that's what goes back to qualifying. They're just not interested in it, and that's a big part of sales. If you can find somebody who's interested in what you want, then when you use these, you like it's you using ninja tactics now, because now this is just gonna be super tough, right? Because they're already excited about it.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's like a cocktail. It's like a combination. It's like the package, I guess.
And you're not always gonna use all of these every single time, but you use a good percentage of these. You use 3-4 of these at any given time while you're talking to somebody. It's really gonna help. It's gonna help a lot, like big time. And as I started using these things, it's been really helping me. This is when I really started making money. It's like once I started knowing some of these things, like more people just started investing in what I have. More people just started being interested in my ideas. And what's funny is, we're not gonna, and it's okay because we're still gonna be susceptible to these, right? Like my wife, like she does this, she uses these on me all the time. Like, but this is unconscious for her, right? Like this is so unconscious for her. Like so, but we can't. This is part of the human nature, so we can't get away from these. So that's the good part about it. So you'll know it, but you're still gonna fall prey to these anyway. But it's okay. All right.